All right, back here at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where every winning president has won the state of Florida going back to 1980. Every president except for Bill Clinton. And this weekend, a big decision changing the dynamics in the race for the Republican nomination. The former Arkansas governor, Mike Huckabee. He was stringing us, well, not stringing, but he was leading us along, trying to make a decision. He says now he will not run for president in 2012. Here is the former governor explaining that decision live on the Fox News channel.
Didn't you want to be president?
Absolutely, Chris, and I think that I would have made a fine president. But it really came down for me to a very personal, a very intimate, and as I explained last night in the announcement, a spiritual decision. You know, you look at all the political possibilities, and frankly, I don't know that I'll ever have a better chance, so I don't rule anything out for the long-term future.
Well, Bob Beckel worked in President Carter's White House, and Andrea Tantaros, a Daily News columnist, both are Fox News contributors. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
There's a nasty delay in the satellite, so I'm not quite sure how this debate back and forth is going to go here. But I think you know what's going to happen, Andrea, is Bob's actually going to carve himself more time, so be prepared. How does this change the race, or does it, Andrea?
Bill, it absolutely changes the race. You know, Mike Huckabee was so popular among the Christian base in the GOP, and he's also just a really, really nice guy, unlike Beckel, screen left. And I think it's going to open the race up. I think that it provides opportunity for the other candidates that are, one, already in the race, but two, some that are thinking of getting in, like Sarah Palin, who's going to make a play for these evangelicals, because I don't think that there is an heir apparent currently for the Huckabee voter. So I think you're going to see a lot more candidates consider jumping in, but maybe consider bringing on Mike Huckabee as a VP. I mean, that's what I heard when I heard him talk yesterday. He's a strong candidate. He's got a lot of support in the South. And again, he's popular with the GOP base, which is critical.
First of all, what did you mean? What did you mean by "I'm not a nice guy"? I mean, we've been working together for years. That's not a nice thing to say on a Monday morning.
Teasing you.
That's all right. Okay, I'll take the tease. I'll take the tease. Look, the fact that Mike Huckabee was such a big deal tells you how weak this Republican field is. I've been around this business for 30 years. Democrats are often accused, and in fact have had some weak fields, but the Republicans have traditionally always had a front runner, somebody with national name recognition. This is the first time they haven't. And the fact that you've got Mitt Romney, who's wounded because of his own health care proposals in Massachusetts, and Pawlenty, who nobody knows, as the apparent front runners, will tell you what kind of trouble they're in. As far as Huckabee's concerned, I don't think he had that many votes to begin with. He did certainly in Iowa. Now, if anybody benefits from that, by the way, it's a long shot, but Rick Santorum, who is the heir apparent when it comes to the issues of right to life and the Christian base, probably has got himself a good boost out of this.
You know, your point about whether or not the field is strong or not, Andrea, there was a poll that came out. It found that among Republican voters, they are 12% more dissatisfied now than they were 4 or 5 weeks ago. More dissatisfied. What does that say? Because
I think there's just more confusion. I mean, as Bob pointed out, we actually agree this morning. There is no front runner, and I do think that someone like Rick Santorum, you know, they're talking about him in circles as a possible dark horse for this race. So, look, I'm not as worried that we don't have a GOP front runner. The minute we get one, the mainstream media trains their sights on them, and oftentimes the front runner tends to implode. We saw this before with George Allen. They're talking about Mitt Romney, but again, I just don't think that he can escape Romney care. All of his flip-flops and a string of them, from gun control to abortion. I mean, he's got a lot to deal with, and I just don't see it carrying him through. So I think that's why a lot of Republicans look at this field and say, we don't know who it's going to be. All we see is a lot of fighting down in Washington, D.C.
Well, but you know also what's happening, Andrea, is a lot of the big contributors...
To that point, though, Bob...
Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought you were delayed out. Go ahead.
To that
you're
point,
the anchor.
though,
Go ahead.
It's okay. The headwinds in the economy are still so stiff, running right into the face of this White House. That's your biggest obstacle.
By far and away, it's the biggest obstacle. And let's remember, I mean, when I talk about Pawlenty, let's remember that the Democrats nominated an unknown governor in Jimmy Carter, who went on to win in the face of a bad economy and Watergate and that sort of thing. And look, whoever gets the Republican nomination is going to be a big player on the political stage. But getting there now because they've changed their rules. Let's keep this in mind now. They've done away with their normal winner-take-all for delegates if you win a state to proportional representation in most cases, which means it's going to be a strung-out race. And on top of that, the fact that you're waiting for Mitch Daniels. Now, Mitch Daniels is a fine guy and all that, but listen to the guy. He's a bad campaigner. He's a guy that has sort of dissed social issues, which in Iowa is a bad idea, suspect on right to life, and is a guy that oversaw the tax increases during the Reagan administration. Now, if that's the person they're waiting for, then I think you've got a real problem.
Look, you can make fun of all the GOP candidates all you want, but right now you have a president who, if you look back, he did not get the bounce that George W. Bush did after he liberated the Kuwaitis. George W. Bush's approval rating skyrocketed to 90%. Barack Obama has not seen those numbers after the capture of bin Laden, and what took down GWB, the first one, was the economy. And that's what we're looking at now with Barack Obama. Bad numbers, stagnant economy.
And that's where the shift goes back. Andrea, thank you. Bob, thanks to you as well. I'm sorry, I wish we had more time. I enjoyed so much. We'll do it again next Monday. How's that? Is that a deal?
Bob is a nice guy, by the way.
Gentlemen,